Yo, what's good? It's Mastermind MMA, and in this video, it's just going to be talking about. So, what do you guys think about Joe Rogan and the whole interview with Daniel Cormier? And apparently, this thing like grabbed some legs. It was fucking number 5 trending on the YouTube page yesterday. Fucking Colin Coward is talking about it. It's like getting wings and flying. So, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. But I'm just gonna let you guys know what I think. So, I mean, I know how Joe said after the Overeem fight that he never wanted to interview knocked out fighters again after that, really. And yeah, I know it's happened after that, and I know he issued an apology for it and all that stuff. But my whole take on it, my opinion on it is, in the whole history of the UFC, main events and all that shit, championship fights, they give both fighters the opportunity to say something. And if there's going to be changes to that, like you can't interview the fighters after they've been knocked out, there needs to be some official, even if it's not like out to the public, even if it's just within the UFC, they have to put it out there where it's official. You know what I mean? The whole staff, everyone knows, listen, from now on, we're not interviewing fighters after they're knocked out regardless. But if they're going to make it something that like it's at your own discretion, when when you're going to make it out to something that it looks like, oh, we're leaving it at Joe's discretion, when there was really nothing saying that before. And before all main events, they've like when Jose Aldo got slept in 13 seconds and Joe Rogan was interviewing him and he was like, oh, and Jose Aldo was like, oh, that's not a fight, that wasn't a fight, I want a rematch and shit, fuck that. And then Joe was like, well, it was a fight. Like, no one was really like outraged about that then or anything like that. So like, my whole thing is like, keep that same energy for everyone. Like, don't just keep it concentrated on one singular event. Keep that energy all around. Be objective with it. Because if you're applying one certain rule set to one particular person, that's called being subjective. And part of that, and not putting that, especially when it favors someone, not extending that lens to other people, that's just straight up not fair. So if we're gonna be looking at like all these angles, like, let's put it for everyone, dude. You know what I mean? So it's like there was nothing official saying fighters that got knocked out can't be interviewed. So with Joe, I mean, Joe saying it was kind of a thing where he just turned around and DC was there. But I mean, they were obviously trying to keep DC, and that's another thing. It's kind of it's always been the way that fighter, look at what happened, let me finish my sentence. It's always been the way that fighters stay in the cage. You know what I mean? Like, look what happened when Forrest Griffin ran out after the Tito fight. And then they ran right after him and brought him back in. You know what I mean? Imagine how embarrassing that'd be for DC. And he was trying to leave and they wouldn't let him. So why are you keeping this man in the cage? Especially when, like, so what, you're making him, so say it's a rule they have to stay till the decision is read. So you're making him stay there. Like, his coaches aren't around him. You know, he just got knocked the fuck out and elbowed to, like, viciousness. And he doesn't know what happened even. And he's not around his coaches, who he's very close with, who would probably be good people for him to be around at this moment in time. And he just, like, lost the thing he wanted the most. And now it's like he's dealing with all this shit. And, like, you're keeping him in the motherfucking cage. And then he's getting tight with John McCarthy because, like, he doesn't really know what even happened. And it's like, at that point, if you're keeping things on a discretionary basis, it's at that point where you should get him and his team and have him taken out the cage. If you don't want him interviewed, why the fuck are you keeping him in here when he's wilding like that? And I'm not even saying wilding in a sense of anything except the sense of this man just got knocked unconscious. And moments, he was out on his feet, dude, and then he got fucking ate so many shots after that. So his brain is still probably fucking rattled, not knowing what the fuck is happening. And then when he realizes it, it's just like, it's the interview time. So he can't control the emotions. His corner's not even there to give him water. Because you know when you're about to motherfucking cry and you got that dry throat, nothing helps like the prevention, like drinking some water. So he didn't even have that shit. So it's like all right, I don't blame Joe Rogan, because how are you going to keep it discretionary? And then why would you leave it solely up to Joe to evaluate that situation? And then why would you, like, especially you being the president and the promoter or doctors or the commission all being present in the cage around him, when he's clearly disoriented and disheveled to that extent? Why are we not being discretionary at that point and evaluating that and saying, all right, let's not put this motherfucker in this situation? But they did, and I don't think really it falls on Joe, really. I think it falls on the UFC and the commission. I think it falls on Dana White and the production team of the UFC. No one got in Joe's ear and said, don't do it. So if you felt like it shouldn't be done, at least you should do that. Because when Nate Diaz, when Nate Diaz is on Fox and shit, and he's saying, Conor McGregor, you're taking everything I work for, motherfucker. I'm gonna fight your fucking ass next. You don't know the and then he's saying all that, and then Joe's keeping the mic there because he likes Nate and he wants to hear this promo he's cutting, and then they get in his ear and they tell him to pull the mic from him. So if you really didn't want him to interview DC, why didn't you just get in his ear and tell him not to? Or pull away? Or just wrap it up? So that's my take on it, man. Like, I'm not saying I agree with the interview, but UFC has always done interviews. They never changed the official culture of post-fight by saying we're not going to interview the other opponent in championship fights, especially in main events, especially. And, sometimes they interview the fighters each opponent win or lose when it's main card or something like that, or if it's just co-main in the main. So you know what I mean? They don't have anything official for that, but I mean, that's what I think on this whole situation. I mean, I feel like if DC didn't want that interview, he shouldn't have been put in a position where he had to stand there if he knew he was so overwhelmed with emotion and he didn't want to do it and they made him do it. That's wrong. But like, I mean, it's something that like you kind of have to prepare for going in. You know what I mean? And I know you're not going to really prepare for that, but that is part of it, and that's a risk. And I mean, it's just that if it's going to be a real point of discussion, then it should be not singular. Like it should be universal and translate across all fighters. Because why would we, like, that's just favoritism at that point. Fuck that shit. No, it should be like one rule for everyone. So if we're saying that, like, the next time, say if Conor gets knocked out by Floyd, and then that shit gets memed to death, then I want everyone to keep that same energy of outrage they had for this shit. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not even saying that energy is wrong. I'm just saying that just keep it for everyone. Be objective. So you already know. It's Mastermind MMA.